side of him. I think he's still that same Steve. He's still that. But now you're also seeing another side of him that he never had to show.
Telling people you work with, I don't want you even to be next to me. Like, I have such disdain for you that I'm annoyed by your presence.
His TV talk show.
Okay, this was the one he had on NBC just recently.
Whatever, yeah. The one that damn, who took his show from him?
Kelly Clarkson.
How can Kelly Clarkson take your show?
I heard you go on the air and you said, my sister done burnt too many bridges and there's nothing I can do for her now. Steve, do you know how hurt I was?
Steve Harvey didn't just rise to fame by luck. He stepped over a few people along the way, or at least that's what many comedians now claim. The laughs have faded, and the truth is starting to come out. Some of Steve's fellow comics say his journey to the top wasn't as clean as it looked.
By the way, this is the same guy who rails against people who don't believe in his particular voodoo.
Right? Against gay people.
Against gay people, against Asian.
Behind the big smiles, sharp suits, and uplifting speeches were broken friendships, copied jokes, and secret deals that left hurt feelings in the comedy world. For years, no one dared to talk, but now they are. And the story they're sharing isn't the one Steve's been selling to his fans.
You know, my thing with Steve Harvey is that he used my material on both his platforms.
Yeah.
After I talked to him, I saw him at Def Jam, I went up and talked to him, I said, man, you're using my material.
Let's get right into it. Steve Harvey is one of the biggest faces in comedy and TV. He went from stand-up stages to hosting Family Feud, Miss Universe, and The Steve Harvey Show, even giving life lessons like a preacher on Sunday. He's everywhere, on talk shows, radio, books, and podcasts. To millions, Steve is the picture of success, proof that faith and grind can turn a broke man into a global brand. But behind that applause and empire, people who knew him before fame say the Steve Harvey on TV isn't the same man they met on the grind.
This is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
Let's go back to the 1980s and 90s, the golden age of stand-up. Back then, Steve Harvey was just another dreamer trying to make it big on stage. He was funny, sharp, and determined, but so were hundreds of other black comedians working those same clubs. From Chicago to Atlanta, names like Mark Curry, DL Hughley, Katt Williams, and Monique, Cedric the Entertainer, and Bernie Mac were all out there earning respect, one joke at a time. Everyone knew the hustle.
Bernie said in the GQ article that when he got Ocean's 11, Steve had reached out to the producer and said he thought he would be a better fit and tried to get the part and blah, blah, blah. And that was that, you just...
But they also knew the code, the one rule no comic breaks. You never steal another comedian's jokes. That's where the talk around Steve Harvey starts. Because it's not just one person pointing fingers. The same story has followed him for years.
Comedians don't appreciate their jokes being stolen, and Steve Harvey has rubbed several comedians the wrong way. Well, it looks like Harvey has found himself in some trouble. No Halloween costume.
I think we UPS, I guess. I don't know.
You've heard me say that every Halloween I had the same outfit on. I just had a brown box, and he just told me to tell everybody I was a UPS man.
My material on his show, so I had a beef on that.
On what show?
When he was on the bullshit talk show he had, and he did all my Halloween material one Halloween.
Says he knows that Steve Harvey stole his Halloween bit because it was a personal story. He was talking about himself growing up.
This cat is hot. Please put your hands together for Katt Williams.
Saying you are not supposed to be at the gas station making life decisions.
Can't even pump gas like you used to no more.
If you put $15 in your tank, you had time to bond with your vehicle. You had time to put the nozzle in and
put the nozzle in there and hit it.
Set the clicker and look through your car and clean off the dashboard. And
be sitting there talking, be on your phone. Hey, what's happening? Be walking around, cleaning the windshield.
Run in the store, get some Pringles and a Snapper, and it'll still be pumping.
Okay, you go in there, bring me a wine cooler. Bring me a cooler, dog. Not no more.
You can't even turn around good for that son of a bitch click. As soon as you put it in, just click, click.
Get in there and start it up, and you can't believe that damn needle is a quarter tank of gas.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit. Then you ask him, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good Oba-Kaby and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You would have to have range. I played a lot of characters, 60 movie roles. I'm not playing Katt Williams in there.
One of the loudest voices in this story is Mark Curry, the star of the 90s show Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Mark's been in comedy just as long as Steve. And in an old interview that's resurfaced, he didn't hold back. He said straight up, Steve Harvey copied my whole act. He took my jokes, used them on TV, and acted like they were his.
We going through something, we'll call each other because we feel for each other, because we know the real person.
Right, yeah.
I know they lying about you online. I know that podcast is bullshit. Hang in there, dog. Don't pay no attention to that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and look, man, just because you can talk smooth without saying, it don't mean you ain't lying.
Right.
I be sitting up here looking at these podcasts of these other comedians that's going on talking about other comedians. Hold up, dog. Where did that shit come from? When did we become that? When did we get into tear each other down business? Because you ain't never heard me say not a disparaging remark against another comedian nowhere. You ain't heard him, or him. Because we ain't cut from that cloth.
Right.
So what is your motive for doing this here? And you're not going to tear him down. And look, man, I got a real platform.
That wasn't a random claim. Mark said he saw it happen himself. When the Steve Harvey show aired, he noticed scenes, setups, and punchlines that were exactly his. And he's not the only one. Over the years, smaller comics who worked under Steve said he'd take their ideas, polish them, and perform them as his own.
Harvey was on his third marriage. His third wife was mistress to his second wife.
You got it. Everybody thinks Steve Harvey's some stand-up man. No, I'm a kiss the old girl who owned TV One. He used to kiss her. He had the radio show out here.
It was hot. We had the Steve Harvey show, so we had a national TV show. Bernie Mac was the it comedian at the time, and then DL was hot. He had a TV. But the first year we did it, it was just me, Bernie, and Steve.
Right.
And Steve closed.
You did the first part, the second part.
I think, of course, that was, definitely a contributing circumstance. But
like me, like Oprah, Tyler, Lee Daniels, and I gotta put my brother Steve on the list. Y'all knew I was not wrong.
Love every time, had him on my show every time. But if you're gonna do another stick, just tell the brother that you're sticking with. Dog, I'm gonna be dogging you on.
But Mark Curry was the one who finally spoke loud enough for everyone to listen. He said being inspired by someone is fine, but stealing a man's act is straight robbery. When he tried to expose it back then, no one cared, because Steve wasn't just a comedian anymore, he was a brand. The flashy suits, the big smile, the talk show charm, nobody wanted to cross that. But Mark wasn't alone. A few years later, Katt Williams called Steve out too, saying, Steve Harvey ain't the king of comedy, he's the king of stealing jokes. He built his career on Bernie Mac's back. That hit deep because Katt wasn't only talking about jokes, he was talking about loyalty. Steve, Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, and DL Hughley had starred together in the original Kings of Comedy, a film meant to celebrate brotherhood. But after Bernie's death, rumors spread that Steve used the moment to push himself higher, taking the spotlight for himself. Katt said Bernie was the people's champ, Steve was the TV champ, but Bernie never sold out. That's why fans loved him more. Soon, people started rewatching old clips, noticing things they'd missed, like when Steve spoke about Bernie's fame on Oprah with a hint of envy, or told DL Hughley, some people ain't meant to be stars like me. Those clips hit harder now because when comics like Katt, Mark, and Monique all say the same thing, that Steve's success came from stepping on others, it starts to sound real. Even DL Hughley, Steve's longtime friend, hasn't always agreed with him. On a recent podcast, DL said Steve can fit into any room, but that don't mean people like how he does it. He was talking about how Steve switches sides, street talk for one crowd, Hollywood talk for another. That's what other comics say makes him dangerous. Comedy is built on being real, but Hollywood's built on survival. And Steve learned early that to survive, you do what it takes, even if it breaks hearts. One comic who worked with him said Steve would laugh with you, then meet your agent the next day pitching your ideas. That's how he moved from small clubs to primetime fame, but also explains why, as Steve got richer, his comedy friendships faded. Now comes the most public feud, Steve Harvey versus Monique. When Monique spoke about being blackballed in Hollywood, Steve publicly disagreed. He told her, "You can't trade money for integrity. This is the money game." That moment went viral and showed how Steve really thinks. To Monique, it felt like betrayal from a man she saw as a friend and fellow comic. But she realized he wasn't standing with her. He was standing with the same system that shut her out. Fans started asking, if Steve turned on Monique on live TV, who else did he betray off camera? Even Steve has admitted he's done things he's not proud of. In one interview, he said, "I've done things I regret, but when you're hungry, you eat what's in front of you." At first, it sounded like a metaphor, until people noticed that's exactly how others described him. Hungry, ruthless, unstoppable. A man so driven he didn't care who he hurt climbing up. But here's the truth. The higher you go, the more people remember what you did to get there. Now, old clips are resurfacing and comedians are speaking out. Fans are starting to see cracks in Steve's perfect image. This isn't just about stolen jokes anymore. It's about how fame can change someone. Remember, this is the same Steve who preaches faith and family, but cheated on his wife and built his empire in Hollywood. The same man who talks about loyalty, but allegedly cut deals that left friends behind. Even some of his old radio staff say they were replaced once he made it big. They said Steve doesn't keep friends, he keeps opportunities. Harsh, but maybe true in Hollywood. Yet Steve keeps winning. No matter the accusations, he smiles, prays, and cashes another check. Family Feud still breaks records, his books still sell, his speeches still go viral. Hate just slides off him. Maybe that's a secret. He once said, "If people believe you're blessed, they'll forget what you did to get there." And maybe he's right. But here's the question. Can a man build an empire on bad karma and sleep peacefully? For all his fame, Steve remains one of the most criticized men in entertainment. Every year, new drama, new stories, old friends saying, he's not who you think he is. From Bernie's death to Monique's fallout to Katt's shots, Steve's name always comes up when people talk about Hollywood snakes. Maybe he represents the harsh truth about success, that being good isn't enough. You got to be ruthless, smart, and know how to smile while taking what's yours. Because in this business, funny doesn't always win, smart does. Steve Harvey might be one of comedy's smartest players. But like DL Hughley said, just because you made it doesn't mean everyone clapping is happy for you. So maybe Steve's journey is legendary, but it left scars. Friendships lost, trust broken, respect gone. And as more comedians speak up, fans are asking, did Steve build his empire or borrow it from others? Either way, the truth's out now. While Steve writes the next chapter of his story, the ones who helped start it are finally telling theirs. Because in comedy, timing is everything, but karma always shows up right on time.